and there's a very striking, you've got here Sunday Times editorial. You know the Sunday Times really means it when they devote an entire half page. We're all struggling to get it here. There we go.
Yeah,
well done,
absolutely.
Gillian.
There we go.
Now look at that. The United States of Europe. Now the Sunday Times, as being, a very, very Eurosceptic paper in many ways, is now calling for the United States of Europe, minus Greece, I have to say. And a lot of people on the Conservative side are saying, well, we may not like it in this country, we may not be part of it, but it's now inevitable.
Absolutely. I think there's a recognition that, as many critics have said right from the get-go, if you're going to have a monetary union, you need to have some kind of fiscal union as well. Otherwise, it simply is not going to make sense in the medium term. And there's another column from Liam Halligan, who is a former colleague at the Financial Times, who's been writing in the Sunday Telegraph. He's now a hedge fund manager, basically saying that, people were pointing this out, way back at the beginning of the Eurozone project, that the difficulties of trying to run a single currency without having some kind of fiscal union, and the ability to transfer taxes across borders to level out differences that tend to emerge. If you look at America, that's basically how the American system works. So the kind of gaps you have, say, between Florida or Dakota, between New York and, say, the Rust Belt areas, are just as big as they are in the Eurozone, but you have the ability to actually try and run it as a single union.
I think we should just say that Sunday Times editorial is a remarkable thing. When I saw it, my eyes stretched.
Yes.
So, I mean, this comes from the very if you like, the solar plexus of Euroscepticism.
Yeah.
This demand for and belief in the European Union without us. But it does actually have a very substantial problem for us. Let us imagine for a moment that such a thing were to happen and it were to succeed. Then you would have an incredibly powerful integrated Europe. It's hard to imagine right now, granted, without us in it and without obviously Greece in it. I mean, 20 years down the road, if then we could imagine situations in which people say we have to join it.
But this is really calling for a single country called Europe, saying this is the only. It's a heck of a moment.
Exactly, or a single region. And in many ways, one could argue that the most effective way to deal with a country like Greece, if you are going to keep it in the actual union, would be to turn it into, say, like the giant Club Med of Europe, and give German pensioners vouchers to go down and spend time in Greece, and actually try and create a balancing sort of, system that way.
Oh,
and actually
the papers are also full of stuff from novelists saying how terrible it is that their beloved Greece is being treated like this.
Yeah.
It's quite funny in a way, and full of the phrase, the Greeks are a very proud people.
Well, look at how, say, Florida within the United States operates. I mean, they act as a kind of holiday place for people from elsewhere to go down and have holidays. That's kind of what you need to be moving towards if you're going to make the Eurozone actually work. Yeah. But of course it's very difficult because you have a lot of nationalism rising right now. You have a lot of people saying, well, actually, we're not sure we want to end up being, say, just the beaches for Europe or something like that.
Well, for a lot of people it means the end of democracy. I mean, forget democracy. I was talking to somebody from Ireland who was saying, the last Irish budget was discussed in the Bundestag before it was discussed in the Dáil. I mean,
well, that was probably the right place for it.
Well, the great irony, of course, is that a project that was supposed to heal the wounds from World War II and bring countries together politically may actually end up splitting them. And if you look at the kind of language and rhetoric that's coming out from the papers, what the Greeks are saying about the Germans and vice versa, and look at the opinion polls, and another key theme of the paper this morning has been the rise of both the far left and the far right in Greece. That indicates that this project that was designed to heal the wounds may actually end up reopening them.
David, you've chosen a column by Andrew Rawnsley.